So every once in a while, I get the question, what's your favorite electronic drum set? And the easy answer has been, for quite a while, the Roland VAD706, because that drum set is awesome. Very advanced pads, a very advanced module, and in the form factor that I like. I like acoustic-looking electronic drums, and it comes in a couple of different colors. It's a cool-looking drum set, and it's a fun-to-play drum set, and it's very powerful. It does a lot of things right. It's not perfect, but no drum set really is. Now, the thing, though, is that even though I like this drum set a lot, it's hard to recommend at full prices right now because of the fact that, in my opinion, I think this drum set is within 12 months of being replaced. So I wouldn't buy this at full price unless you can find a discount in some way, shape, or form that incentivizes you to actually go and buy it when we're this close. In my opinion, this is not insider information, but my opinion is that there's going to be a VAD800 series or whatever that replaces it. But first, today's video is brought to you by Edrum Center. If you're shopping for eDrums and you live in North America, go give Edrum Center a shot. They got a great physical location in Tennessee and a great online website. Use my discount link to save a few bucks off your order. Again, that's Edrum Center. Use the link below. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is that I got an email question from somebody saying they've got a venue, they want to buy a nice electronic drum set, and they've got a very large budget. And inevitably, the VAD706 is in the equation. And it's a very easy choice for venues. It's still worth buying. I remembered that there was a screenshot in my 65 Drums Discord group of the VAD706 on drumtech.com showing that it was discontinued. And then if you take a look at Thomann, which is the biggest music store retailer in Europe, at least as far as I can tell, that is also not listing it anymore. Now, obviously, I don't live in Europe. I live in North America. And in music stores around here, like Sweetwater or Edrum Center, they are listing it for its regular $8,000 price. However, there are a couple of interesting things you'll notice. For example, they're offering free stuff with it, usually drum thrones or hardwares or stuff like that. That's not always a sign something's being discontinued, but Roland usually does promote free stuff or discounts whenever they are getting to the end of their life cycle. And you could also interpret Roland offering bundles of their module with different cymbals as a way to move inventory. But honestly, if we're being real, this shouldn't surprise anybody because Roland usually refreshes their flagship electronic drums every 7 to 8 years, ignoring the like mid-gen refresh they always do. So the TD10, it lasted for 7 years. The TD20 lasted for 8 years. The TD30 is kind of an outlier. It only lasted for 4 years. It was kind of a TD20 in a trench coat, but better. And then the TD50 is coming up on 8 years old. I did ask a Roland representative about this back in 2020, if they actually do stick to 8-year cycles. And I was told that they don't really work on hard schedules. They just kind of release products when they feel like they're needed and when they're actually ready, via development. But the thing is, I kind of focus on what companies do, not necessarily what they say. And if they magically always release a new electronic drum set every 7 to 8 years, well, I think that's worth paying attention to. Something else I've been thinking about is that Roland has been suspiciously quiet recently. Here's a list of drum sets they've come out with since 2018, and as you can tell, they release about 6 drum sets a year, with the occasional off year, and then they're right back into, 6 kits a year again. 2023 only had 2 kits, and then 2024, 6 months in, we don't have any yet. So that's why I'm expecting that within 12 months from now, we could get a bunch of drum sets. Now, what drum sets will those be? It's hard to say. TD02 is brand new, they're not going to update that. The TD07 is from 2020. The TD27 is also from 2020. The TD17 is from 2018. And the TD50 is from 2016. Now, almost everything I mentioned there has mid-gen updates, but it matters more what the core module underneath the mid-gen update is, the age of that. And because the TD50 is the oldest drum module in the whole lineup, it wouldn't be crazy to think that they'll update that because they've never gone 9 or 10 years not updating one of their flagship modules. Now, one decent argument against a VAD800 coming out in the next 12 months might be that the DWE exists. As you guys know, Roland bought the company DW a little while back, and they had their own flagship electronic drum set in development. That thing went through development hell, by the way. It was supposed to be the Geva G9 drum set before all kinds of stuff went down and DW and Geva went their own separate ways. But now we have a flagship electronic drum set also sold by Roland under the DW name. And I did a review if you want to go check that out. And I feel like Roland wants to give that a little bit of breathing room. They want to give it a runway to get as many sales as it can before interest dries up for it and everybody's ready for a new Roland drum set, because Roland doesn't want to step on its own toes. The interesting thing about this situation is that Roland got to offer a alternative flagship that they still sell, and they got to sit back and see what the reaction of the public was like. Do people actually care about wireless drums? Should we include that in the next version of our flagship? Do people, not want to have a module anymore? Should we get rid of that in our next flagship? Do people really care about pitch bending? Is that something that we should include in our next flagship? They get to cherry pick the things that work and ignore the stuff that don't work of the DWE, and they get to offer what they want in the next version of their flagship. So you could almost look at the DWE as a test bed of potential features that they get to include in their next version. The second argument you could make against a 706 replacement popping up in the next 12 months is that Roland hasn't run out of TD50 KV2s yet. You can still buy them worldwide. So you could say that, well, Roland's got to get rid of all the kits that have a TD50X. That's the TD50 KV2 and the 706, and also the TD50 K2. Now, aside from making fun predictions, which may or may not actually come true, the next natural question is, what about the competition? So if you have this amount of money, should you be worried about other companies refreshing their flagships within the next 12 months? I don't know, but let's take a look at each brand and sort of rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Starting with DW, I would say there is a 0% chance they'll refresh this anytime soon. It's just way too new. And then we have Geva. The Geva G9 Pro 5 came out in 2022, and the module it's based on, it first came out in 2020. This is a very new company, so we don't know how quickly they release new flagships yet. But I would have to say that there's a very slim chance that this will, be replaced within the next 12 months. So I would say 0 out of 10 once again. And then we got the F-Note Pro 707 Complete. This is a great drum set, but it is also incredibly new. Now, the thing about F-Note, though, is that they come out with new electronic drum sets incredibly quickly. But at this point, they've had so much runway, because they were a new company, that they never had to replace anything. They just kept releasing more and more expensive drums, or backfilled something in between two drum sets, with like the F-Note Mini. I don't know when it'll circle back to replace their stuff, but this drum set's so new, we don't have to worry about this being replaced either. So if you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. This next one's out of left field, but what about Alesis? Yeah, the Strata Prime is brand new. They're not going to replace that anytime soon, but you could put a drum set right above it in price. Something like an Alesis Strata Pro Max with acoustic shells. Could that be coming within a year? I've talked to Alesis reps a lot this year, and I have never gotten the impression they're gearing up to make that happen right now. I don't think that's really in their game plan anytime soon. I think what they're really focusing on is module updates for the Strata Prime module. That thing had a rough start. I had a good experience with it, but multiple other people, they had, not a great experience when they bought that kit at first. And then hardware-wise, there's a possibility they might actually go down in price before they ever go back up in price above their current most expensive kit. Next up, we have the tricky companies, starting with Yamaha. Now, currently, they don't have what I would call a flagship electronic drum set because, 8 years ago, this would have been a high mid-range drum set for them. This is comparable to the DTX 700 series. This generation has been a little bit weird. Something feels off about this generation, and I can make no predictions where they'll go with this. So I'll say 5 out of 10. They do have room for a DTX 20. That's all I'll say. So next up, we got Pearl. And to be honest, I have no idea if or when they'll release a new drum set, because Pearl's weird. Their previous kit was the Pearly Pro Live. That's a 9-year gap. And then before that, it doesn't make sense to compare because their previous kit before that was 1986. All I know about Pearl is that they only sell one drum set at a time. It's usually upper mid-range, never quite flagship level, and it's always completely different from the previous one. And then there's the sleeper companies that you kind of forget about, like ATV. There's a pretty low chance they'll release a new flagship within the next 12 months, mostly because the company's in a holding pattern after losing a ton of talent to both F-Note and Zildjian a few years back, including, their founder dying a handful of years ago, which was unfortunate. That being said, I did a video on the state of the company a year ago, and the company actually responded to me via email. And they said things like, our research and development engineers are hard at work, we still have the best engineers in the industry, we're dedicated to delivering robust and innovative products, and other corporate stuff like that. But basically what I'm getting at is they are working to regroup, and they will release new stuff in the future. That's their goal, but I don't know when that day will come. The second sleeper company we probably don't need to worry about is 2-Box. The last new thing they came out with was the 2-Box Speedlight kit, which was their lower-end 2-Box Drum at 3 module. I don't foresee them coming out with a 2-Box Drum at 6 within the next 12 months. And then of course the final competitor is Zildjian, and because this is still on pre-order, I don't think you have to worry about a version 2 anytime soon, so we'll just take that off the table. I'm still waiting to see if this drum set's good or not. Okay, so those are the competitors, and I would say that the vast majority of them are brand new or relatively new or only halfway through their life cycle. So aside from maybe Yamaha, which I wouldn't count on, but like most of the competitors aside from Roland, I wouldn't really bank any money on that they're going to replace their flagships anytime soon. So let me know what you guys thought. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.